Rick Grenell joining us live from Serbia. He is our Senior Advisor for Foreign Policy and National Security. And Rick, I just want to go to you right now. Where do you see this as it stands? It feels like that second wave of this Russian aggression is taking hold in Ukraine, and it feels like it's just a matter of time and up to Putin as long as he's in control until the capital city falls.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, first of all, greetings from Belgrade, Serbia. I was in earlier this week in Tirana, Albania. And this is obviously a region that has experienced quite a bit of war. The Balkans have had their fair share of conflict and war over the last couple of decades. And I think the reality is that Europe and all of the surrounding areas of Ukraine understand that this is a crisis of epic proportion. And I think Americans need to understand that the Europeans are completely in turmoil here. Countries are trying to figure out what's next. They're seeing President Putin and his focus on taking Ukraine. I have to tell you, Jordan, I fear for Zelensky's life. I think that President Putin is focused on taking over and removing anyone that stands in his way. I see that evidence. And what we have to be able to do is, support the Ukrainians in every possible way and, certainly prepare our European allies in every possible way.
Rick, this is Jay. What is, when we say support them in every possible way, what does that actually mean? What concrete actions need to be taken? I still don't understand why we don't have sanctions on the Russian energy, but those sanctions are not in place. But what are the concrete things that need to be done right now, in your view?
It's such a great question, and I think that this is where we are with even the conservative movement, and our friends on the other side of the aisle are having the same conversation. What does that mean? What does it mean? How far do we go? My opinion is that for Ukraine, that we need to, at this current moment, do everything we can on a humanitarian level. Certainly, we can push the UN to do more. We can personally do more. The Americans, really, our whole system is to rise up and give money personally. I've had somebody reach out to me and say, "What's the best charity in Ukraine? My heart is breaking. I want to do something." So Americans respond. I think from a diplomatic standpoint, you're right. We need to be really focused on the peaceful sanctions portion of this rather than just respond with military options. I reject the idea of doing a no-fly zone that puts us in a conflict with Russia. I do think we can sell arms. We should have been selling arms to the Ukrainians, I would say a year ago, even before then. And now we're going to have to look and see what's happening in some of the other former satellite Soviet countries, right, and see what can be done. I think we can sell our military equipment, let them fight. I'm encouraged that the Ukrainians are fighting, unlike a lot of what we've seen with Afghans and the Iraqis, actually.
Yeah. I want to go to Colonel Smith on this quickly because Rick was mentioning the military aspect of this. We have set up a deconflicting situation room, basically, with the Russians directly. What does that mean?
It means that, in shared airspace around the area, that we communicate with each other to avoid conflicts, unintended conflicts like that. Because, as General Stoltenberg stated yesterday, Rick, U.S. Air Force pilots are flying missions 24/7 with some of our allies in NATO.
Yeah, look, the NATO angle here is a really a real one. We need to obviously be prepared if there's ever an attack on any NATO country. We're watching Poland, I think, very carefully here. But we need to be prepared for that next phase. I think Ukraine, as a non-NATO member, we have a different policy. And when the conflict moves to a NATO member, we have a treaty obligation, and I think we must react quickly. And I hope that the Biden team is ready and planning for that possible phase two. Certainly here in Europe, I can tell you that people think this is not going away, that this is not ending. They sense that something has happened with President Putin and that he is hell-bent on taking Ukraine.
Rick, we had on Senator Graham earlier, and he talked about a bill he's co-sponsoring with Senator Manchin, so bipartisan support. And he said if the vote was allowed right now in the U.S. Senate, 75 U.S. senators would vote to open up all that we need to do for energy in the U.S. to get back on the path to energy independence, which would affect the futures forecasts, which would affect the price of the pump for Americans, and it would isolate. Stop any import of Russian gas and oil. The holdup is the Democrat leadership and the Biden administration, which to me is almost sickening because you've got that kind of bipartisan support to unleash American power.
Look, if you have 75 senators that will sign something that says let's unleash America's energy power, my first reaction is to say, take those 25 senators that are against it and throw them out of office immediately. This is ridiculous to think that anyone would say that we should be beholden to Russia or Middle East oil. What are they thinking? Where are we going to get our energy from? That we've got to start saying to these people that it doesn't make sense to put one arm behind our back and not have full energy independence. We had full energy independence under Donald Trump. We were able to do it with a renewable, clean energy like liquid natural gas. By the way, I like to remind people that the Obama administration and very far-left Democrats told us for a decade that fracking was bad. We could have been doing liquid natural gas 10 years before we did. We could have been off Middle East oil and being an energy exporter 10 years before we actually did if we would have done the science on fracking. Fracking is safe.
Yeah.
This is science. You want to talk about honoring science and listening to science. Fracking is safe, and it took the Obama administration way too long to come to that conclusion.
Rick, I appreciate you joining us this week from both Albania and now Serbia to give your expertise on this situation.